All right. So now we can start the. I will share my screen. Is my screen visible? Can you guys see my screen? All right. Okay, those who joined just now, let me just introduce myself. My name is Urvashi Singla, and I work as a developer and a corporate trainer. So I have 10 plus of years of experience in IT. So today I will be sharing my knowledge in HTML, CSS, all the front-end development technologies today. So we'll start with what is front-end development. So I'll just give you guys an overview what you guys are going to learn today. So firstly, we will be discussing front-end development, web development. There we will be learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, demand of front-end development, what career opportunities we have after front-end development, technologies, knowledge. Okay, so we will be discussing all that today. So in that, firstly, we have what is front-end development and what is web development. And one more thing, team, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask that in the chat section. Okay. So now in any website, there are two things. One is front-end development and one is back-end development. So when you guys see Netflix, when you guys see Twitter, when you guys see Facebook, when you guys see Amazon, all these website has two parts. One is front-end that you guys see, and there is another part that is back-end, which is in the back-end, which is servers, which is databases. So as a user, we just see the UI part of that website. So for front-end development, so if you want to create that fancy UI of Amazon, of Facebook, of Netflix, you need to have knowledge of front-end development technologies. So front-end development is also known as client-side development. It is a synonym we use for front-end development. So here we are going to use some front-end technologies to produce that output. So if you're working with front end, then you need to learn front end development technologies. If you're working with back end of a website, you need to learn back end technologies. So now we are in front end. That means I need to learn front end development technologies before developing that UI for developing that website altogether. Okay. So in that, there are so many technologies in front end development. We have basic, we have advanced. Your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the basic UI technologies. If you want to create that fancy UI from on your own, and you guys can too. You guys can also create that Facebook UI, Netflix UI very easily using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So here with HTML, we are going to structure our website. That piece, if I open Amazon, let's say here, so if I want to create this header, I want to put this content, if I want to add these images, I want to add this text over here. I need HTML for that. Okay. So HTML will help me to structure my website, to include these content, these images, these media, these videos inside my UI. After that, we have CSS. CSS will help me to add colors, add styling. So let's say this gray color is coming. Then you guys can see this blue color is coming. When I hover, this orange color is coming. So when you want to add these colors to your website, we simply use CSS. So you can consider CSS something like styling. So let's say this PPT over here. I added some colors here. I added some images here. So this is exactly what you do with your website. You add the content, you add the images, and then I style this PPT. I selected it and I changed it font size. I changed it color. I changed this, let's say. So this is exactly what I'm doing with my PPT. This is exactly what we do with our website. With HTML, we bring all the content in UI, and with CSS, we actually change the colors, font size, placement of content. Okay. So whatever you're doing with your word processing documents, whatever you're doing with your PPTs, this is exactly what you do with your website using these technologies. Okay. Now, if you want, let's say when you click on something, a form should be submitted. When you click on something, let's say a message should be displayed. So if I click on this, let's say, it is fetching me another page. But when I click on add to cart, it will add this product to the cart. That means now product is added to my cart. That is where your JavaScript will come in picture. That means interactivity part, the dynamic part. When you click on something, your data is getting changed. Okay. For example, in your Facebook, when you guys click on your profile section, then you guys go to your profile section, you can edit your section, profile section there. You can change your name in Facebook. If you go to profile section settings, there you can write your new name. With that, data will be replaced with the previous file. That is where your data will come in picture, where you are changing the data. So your data is in the database, and from the front end, you can change the data. That is where your JavaScript will come in picture. So even if you want to learn advanced your technology like React JS, you need to learn these basic technologies. If you have the knowledge of these basic technologies, you can work with advanced technologies as well. If you have knowledge of JavaScript, you can work with advanced backend technologies like Node.js, Express.js. You can work with those as well. By learning just by this one technology, you can work with front end as well, and you can work with backend as well nowadays. These are whenever you want to build a career in front end in website, you need to have very good knowledge of these very website technologies. So this is your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We know HTML is going to help me structuring, CSS is going to help me adding styling, JavaScript will help me to add interactivity, dynamic nature, the data that you're able to update. It's all happening because of JavaScript. Okay. When you guys add any product in your cart, when you do the payment, all that part is handled by JavaScript. HTML, CSS is all about displaying data in UI, fancy data. That's it. JS actually handles the data that we enter. When you guys sign in into Amazon, you write your email ID, you enter your password, you click on sign in. So there, all your email ID password gets stored inside the database. So that part is handled by Java. Okay. Once you have knowledge of these very technologies, you can work with backend as well using JavaScript. We can work with Node.js and Express.js. You can go directly to the advanced technologies like React.js as well. Okay. So this is what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is. So it's a web application so that user can interact and see them directly. Now websites are very important. If this is something which is going to be there for for a longer time, or I would say forever, because any business, let's say if I talk about any company, let's say study Comrade, they have a website. Because first thing that any business or a company need is a presence, digital presence, and that is what that website provides them. Especially if you're creating a website for e-commerce, let's say you're creating a website for, let's say, for finance. Maybe you guys must have seen a website, let's say Facebook, for interact with people. The main idea of Facebook is to find people, add request, connect with them. So every business, every company need a website. So this is something which is going to be there forever. So the only thing is technologies are going to evolve with the time. But yes, even to learn those advanced technologies, basic technologies is must. It's like a prerequisite you should know. And front-end development manages everything that users visually see in their browser or application. When you open any website, first thing that you see is UI, that user interface, that front-end part of the website, how it's going to look. Front-end developers are the people who actually work on it. Ultimately, the design of the website. Just like I designed this PPT, we can design a website. This is what front-end development is, or website development is. Okay. Now, as I said, it's front end plus back end. I'm taking out front end, particularly in that, and we're going to pick those technologies: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. The next thing is, what is HTML? So you have to learn these in these order only, because your HTML came first in around 1991, then your CSS came around 1993, and then your JavaScript came around 1995. So they came in the order only. So HTML is going to help us to structure their website. So next question comes, how it's going to help me to structure. How will it help me to add headings, this list, these p tags, the way I've added here. So if you see, I've selected this and I've added this bulletins over here. This is exactly I can do in my website. I can have this list bulletins in my website using list. So for doing every task in HTML theme, there is a predefined tag we use. So let's say if I want to add a heading, I will simply use H1. H1 will add heading to my website, just like I have added heading to my PPT. So to do any task, it's all predefined. Predefined tags are there. This is called a tag. where this first half is called opening tag, and this is called closing tag. And this is what goes in the UI. This is the content that goes in the UI. Okay. So your HTML is a tag based language. Tag is like an instruction that will tell to the browser how a particular content should be displayed. If I'm displaying H1, then a heading 1 should be displayed. If I'm using H2, then heading 2 will be displayed. Okay. So there are set of default styling that is being assigned to these tags. And that is what your browser do for us. So tag is like an instruction that gives instructions to the browser how a particular content will be displayed. So this add some title codes will be displayed in big size in very bold manner. That is what heading is. So in this we have p tag, heading tag. We have different type of categories of tags like pair tags, image tag, video tag, audio tag, semantic elements, header, footer. So we have all these concepts in HTML. We can add images, we can add GIFs, we can add videos, we can add audio. In fact, you guys can design the audio from your end. With that audio which you open in any website, let's say MP3 format, you can, when you click on it, you can play the music. This is exactly what you can create from your end in HTML using HTML. Okay, it's all HTML over there. And using HTML, we can define the structure, like where header will go, where footer will go, where images will go. We can decide all that part using HTML. So if you have knowledge of HTML, you can create your own website. Even if you have some business idea, you can just go ahead with creation of website using HTML. So this is the very first language that we learn, front-end development. Okay. Now this is a bit of history about HTML. Like it was introduced by Sir Tim Berners-Lee around 1991, like I said. And this is the first web page that went live. So it's a screenshot. So you can just imagine this is how website used to look in 1991. And now you look at Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. This is how websites look now. So you can see how much front-end development has evolved in the past 30 years. This is how your website used to look back in 1991, and this is how it looks nowadays. Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, pick any website. How much it has enhanced with the time. Okay, so even it is just hardly, you can just imagine, you can calculate, in fact, 1991, so approximately 32 years back, these front-end developments started. Okay, so from here, you can just imagine how much it has evolved and how much it's going to evolve in the coming years. So this is like short, very important technology that we have and we should know as a developer. Any questions so far, anyone? All right, guys, feel to drop any questions, anything related to front end, anything related to back end, anything related to any other technology. Feel free to drop that. Okay, I'm happy to answer any questions. Now, team, since we are going to work with front end, we are going to work with websites. You guys need to understand these two terms: client side and server side. Okay. So client side is all about the laptop. It's all about where you can access your web browser. You can access your web browser in laptops, in mobiles. You can access your web browser inside tablets, in mobile phones, anywhere you can access your laptop. Okay, that access your web browser. That is basically your client side, because websites are open in the browsers, and anywhere you have browser like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, any browser you're using. Your Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome are the popular ones. Rest all are also there, Safari and Safari we have for Apple. So any browser you're using, even in your mobile phone, even in tablet, iPad, Mac, laptop, desktop screen, anywhere, that is called client side. When you open any website, the UI that you look at in the very first time, that is called the client side. Okay. And then we have one server side, backend part basically. So whenever you write any, when you sign up into any application, you enter your email ID, you enter your password, you click on sign up. A request is sent. So from here, you can just imagine there is a form, login form or sign up form. You're entering your email ID, you're entering your password. When you click on sign up button over here, a request will be sent to the server. server will request my database and it will store my data in my database. Okay. Next time when I will log in into that application, since my data is stored when I signed up into that application, when I enter my email ID, when I enter my password, a request will send to the server and server will fetch me that data. Okay, server will fetch me that email ID and password and it will match. If it's correct, then I'm allowed to log in. Otherwise, you guys must have experienced that in while logging into Gmail, you have entered email ID or password incorrectly. Please enter correct credentials. You get some error like that. So you're getting that error because the data is stored inside the database and it is matching with that data that you signed up while signing up into any application. So let's say, let me just conclude that. So there's a form here, email ID, password, and a sign up button. When you click on sign up, you will enter email ID, password, you will click on sign up. A request will be sent to the server and data will be stored in the database and your account will be created. Okay. After that, next time when you're logging into any website team, okay, you will enter your email ID, you will enter your password, you will click on login. So again, request will be sent to the server and it will fetch the data for you and it will compare the data, email ID and password. Okay. That is how your websites work. So anywhere you can access your website, anywhere you can access your website through any device, mobile, laptop. That means you have you need any browser. That's it. If you have any browser, you can access any website. And you are a user. The person who is using the application, that person is the user of that application. Okay. So you enter anything, you getting a response. So it's like there is something called API in between your backend and front end that connect front end with the backend. Okay. Especially when you're working in IT teams, IT projects, real-time projects, what happens? There as well, the medium through which your front end team and the backend team connect is API only. Because we need backend people only when we need a API as a front end developer. So let's say if I'm developing any application to get the live traffic update, let's say I'm using one Google API to get the live traffic update. Okay. So I will just ask Google team to give me that API and I will do the purchase. So it's paid once. So you have to do the pricing, you have to pay for it. And then I will get that API and I can incorporate that in my application. Okay. Similarly, let's say I'm creating a API from a backend is working on an API and creating an API from scratch. As a front-end development team, the person from the backend will just give me that API. I can use that API in my UI. Okay, and that API looks something like this. Let me open that. So here you can see this is how that API looks. This is a one of your free API example, and this is the data it is fetching me. This is another example of your API. So this is the API. These are free API, so we can see them. So once I'm adding this API, this is getting me this data over here. API. Okay. So that means these APIs are free. So we can see these as an example. So I can fetch all the data of these API using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in my UI. So through JavaScript, can fetch the data and HTML, CSS will help me to display all this data in UI. So this is the architecture of a website. Whenever you look at next time, when you look at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any website, just imagine this is a front end UI part you're looking at. But besides that, there's a backend as well, which is handling your server, which is handling your database. Okay. And any website, if you guys see any website, let's say facebook.com. So facebook.com is called the domain. Okay. Now what is domain? Let's say I'm a person and I have a name. Okay. And even if you see your contact list, okay, you never save any number with a number. You always save someone's name with the, let's say it is a number, let's say there's a number over here. I will always save this number with some name because as a human being, it's easier for me to remember name instead of number. Okay. That is exactly what happens with your websites as well. So whenever you see any facebook.com, let's say linkedin.com, so that is the name of your website. Okay. So otherwise, I'll show you guys one example. These are the API. These are called the IP addresses. Okay. So every website that you open, team, in the back end, there is API that IP address that gets hit. Okay. So what happened earlier in 90s, back in 90s, we didn't had this privilege of using these domain names. What used to happen back then, we used to write these API addresses. So let's say for Facebook, this is the IP address. Okay. And for let's say for Amazon, this is the IP address. So it was difficult to remember these numeric values for opening these websites. So back in 90s, people used to remember these IP addresses to open any website. But nowadays, you guys don't have to do. So after 2000, all these proper domain names, complete structuring of domain naming, host naming, everything came. Okay, so nowadays I just have to remember Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't have to remember these addresses. So you can imagine these names are like the covering for that IP address. So when you open any website, there's a server where your website is going to host. You can imagine it something like a common place where website is going to host. For example, Google Drive. Just imagine Google Drive is there and you can host any images, any document there and share it with people. Similarly, your website is hosted somewhere. Okay. So because it is hosted there through this address, you can call that website. Okay. Just remember the example of your contact list. You cannot remember every contact by the number 10 digits, but you can remember the person by name. That's why we give some name to that contact. Okay. When you click on that, when you dial any number, you click on that person name and you are actually calling that number only. Okay. So this is exactly what happens with your website. We write any this English words, but actually it's just a name for your website. Just like we all human has names, it's difficult to remember every person with some unique idea or numeric value. Okay, but it's easier to remember. Let's say I can remember all of you through your name instead of with a number. Okay, that is what domain name is. So next time you open any website, so what you're doing, you're calling the website with your domain name. This is called domain name. Clear? Any questions, anyone so far? Okay, let me summarize this again. So what is happening for as a person, it is difficult for me to remember any website with a number, numeric values. Back then in 90s, we had numeric values like this. This is called IP addresses. Okay. So every website have every some address. Just like I am hosted in my house, like I'm live in my house. So if someone want to come, they will come to my house and can let's say have access of me through my house. Okay. Similarly, these websites have we can have the access of these websites through some address. So you can imagine it that address I'm talking about. Okay. We all live in a house. We all have some address. If I want to access any one of you, you either I can use your email address, okay, or I can use your home address. Similarly, these websites have some address. Okay, you can think of it something like that. Now, if I want to access that address, it's difficult for me to remember that address. And I cannot create a list of all the website IP addresses. So what I will do, I will remember the website domain name. So this domain name is like a website name I've given to this Amazon.in. Okay. If I want to, let's say, access LinkedIn, I will not remember LinkedIn IP address. I can simply access the LinkedIn.com. So these are called the domain names, the name of your website. Okay. So through addresses, email address, you guys can access me or I can access you guys. Similarly, we are accessing these websites through IP addresses. But it's difficult to remember those numeric values. That's where every website has some unique domain name. That's why like you guys can buy, domains from GoDaddy.com or Stranger.com or Namecheap.com. And when you buy any domain, you can some other person cannot buy it. Like you cannot buy this domain name. So there are companies like GoDaddy or Stranger out there who give you this domain name purchase privilege. Okay, you can buy it from there, and this is always going to be unique. If Amazon company has bought this Amazon.in, then you cannot use it. Okay, same goes for LinkedIn. Same goes for any other website. These are going to be that unique values. Okay, like my address, whatever the place I live in, I have a unique address. No one else can copy that address. Similarly, they all have some unique addresses. Is it clear now? I will answer that question later. How many websites or languages are used to create your Amazon? I'll answer that later. Okay. I will definitely answer. Okay. So this is about your website's architecture, HTML. This is how it's going to work. Then comes your CSS. CSS is all about adding the styling, the colors, the font size, the style, the size for every text that you see, the font family. Like from here, I can show it to you guys. If I select this, I can actually decide the font family. This is called font family. I can decide the font size. I can decide the color. I can decide the boldness. All the same thing you can do with your website. Everything. Okay. So here you can see I've added content as these text and images. Similarly, I can do the same thing with my website. Okay. Now when you are done with this course, we'll go to coding part. The initial part of session is bit theoretical, just to set a let's say context in your head what this technologies are about that you're going to learn. Okay, then we'll go to the coding part today. So these are the career opportunities. So when you are doing learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, these are the designation for which you can apply, like JavaScript developer, UI developer, UI designer, UI engineer, software engineer, web application developer, that is web developer, front end developer, web designer, web developer. Okay, and you can see analysis of 2021. So there are around 1.83 billion website in existence. Okay, and I've added the data for mobile applications as well. So globally, there are more than 4 billion people are using the internet. Okay. Has to be pleased, according to 2021, the most demanding or booming, let's say, designation or technology nowadays is front-end development. If you go to React, okay, so in this course, we will be learning React JS as well, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React JS. So even if you want to learn React JS, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, please. And like I said, once you learn HTML, once you learn JS, okay, with JavaScript alone, even if you put more efforts in JavaScript, you can actually work with backend technologies easily with Node.js and Express.js and more, because JS is that one basic technology with which you can learn front end as well, learn back end as well. Okay. So they are just going to come up with different designations, but at the end of the day, all these people work with front end only. HTML, JavaScript, React.js, and Redux. These UI technologies. Okay. And we, as a front end developer, are responsible for creating that UI, which goes to the user, which user sees. That is what we provide to the end user as a developer, as a front end developer. Okay. So many career opportunities we have in this. And these are the salary trends that we have. So you can just look at it in India, Germany, Canada, Australia, US, UK, India as well. So even as a fresher, you easily get 6 to 7 lakh of package with these very technologies. And I'm talking about base package, very basic, like let's say below, even below an average student, you get easily 6 7 lakh of package in this in these very technologies. And if you go beyond, then there is no limit. You can get 20 25 lakh package as well as a fresher if you're really good. Okay. So here you can see the figure can go beyond this as well if you have experience, right skills, and you will have the opportunity to work with so many big companies like Amazon, Accenture, Cognizant, TCS, and a lot more. Okay. And to answer that question, like which technologies your Amazon is created. So Amazon is created with HTML for the front end part, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery. Few pages, few part is created with React. Okay. Majorly it is created with these very technologies only with the front end part. Okay. jQuery is also used there in your Amazon. Okay. So these are the salary trends that we have for front end, or I'm just taking a common data for all these designation. And these are just, different naming of the designation. At the end of the day, these people work on the same tech stack. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. These are the basic. Plus they can work on advanced as well, like React.js. Okay. Now, after gaining, basic knowledge of what is front end, so whenever you have to start working on front end development learning, you have to start with HTML. then CSS, and then JS. Because HTML came first in 1991, then came your CSS, then 1993, and then came your JavaScript in 1995. Okay. So now we are going to start with the part. So next question comes, where am I going to write the code? For PPT, you just create a new PPT and we save it with the extension of .pptx. Okay. If I want to create a document, I can just create a new document with docx. Okay. But if I'm working with HTML, if I'm working with these technologies, I need some place where I can write the code. Okay. So that is called text editor. Any technology, even if you're talking about Java, Python, text editor, where you can write the code. So I can write my code in Visual Studio, Sublime, Atom, brackets, or you guys can use online editor as well for now. And in real time IT industry teams, we majorly use Visual Studio Code. Okay, we prefer Visual Studio Code because there are so many inbuilt extensions are there, inbuilt terminal is there in Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code is preferred the most in IT industries. Okay, so that is exactly what we are going to install next. So I want everyone to install Visual Studio Code. Those who already have it, that's great. Okay, let me give you guys the link to download. I'm dropping the link in the chat box. So you guys can just open that from chat box. For placing your files, I will explain the folder structure. Okay, after this. But my screen is shared. Devi, maybe you can check internet at your end once. Yes, Komal, front end and back end are connected. So any website that you see, they both work together. So front end developers work on the front end, back end developers work on the back end, and they are connected through APIs, application program interface. Okay, that is exactly your HTTP request is. Okay. Okay. So once you open this, if you're using MacBook, then click on this. If you're using Linux or Ubuntu, click on these. If you're using Windows, click on this. Okay. Once you click on this, you can download. Here you can see downloading has started. I'm canceling it because in my system it's already there. Okay. But you guys can download and do the setup. Okay. For now, just to just for your practice, since I will be writing the code, I want you guys to code with me live. So what we can do, you guys can use this JS Fiddle as well. Okay. If you open this, here you can see. So whatever code I will be writing, so here they have already created a place for you. Here you can write CSS code, here you can write JS code, and here you can write HTML code, and here you can see the result. Okay. You guys can use external this link over here as well, JS Fiddle, or you can use Sandbox or CodePen, any editor you can use. Okay. In real time, we use obviously the local editor because I want to keep my all files saved in my system. But for now, you guys can use this. Okay. And later on, I'll share my code with you guys. Those who have installed, it's great. Otherwise, you guys can use this for now. Okay. All right. So this is a place you have to write the code. So any of these we can download. I prefer Visual Studio Code because in IT industries as well, we use Visual Studio Code only. Okay. All right. Now let's start. So what we are going to do today, we are going to add heading, we're going to add images, we're going to display some paragraph in UI, and we're going to add some colors. We are going to play around with the CSS, and we're going to display the content in center. Okay. So now team, just for your knowledge, always create a new folder. Like I have created a new folder named code so that you can maintain your HTML code separately. Once we will go in CSS, you can maintain that separately, the session of CSS. Once you guys go into JS session, you can maintain your code very well. Let's say after 1 year, 2 year, you want to go back and learn the basic again. You can simply refer to these code. It's always a better option to organize it better. Okay, so always create a folder for now. Create a folder in your file explorer. Okay. And those who are using Visual Studio Code, I'll guide you how to bring that folder here. Okay, those who are using online editor, they can just go through the recording again and understand the folder. But for now, you guys can write your code in HTML. So here team, just click on file, add folder to workspace and select the folder. Okay. So here, let's say I'm going to select this folder of my webinar and I'm going to click on add. Okay. Just click on file, add folder to workspace, select the folder. Okay. And click on add. So you can see that folder inside this workspace. This is called your workspace. Okay. And this is called your Visual Studio Code Explorer over here. Just like you guys have File Explorer here, similarly, this is your Visual Studio Code Explorer. Okay. Now expand this. You can see that folder over here. Now we have to create HTML file. So you guys need to understand, just like we save your PPT with .pptx extension, we save our document with docx extension because those extensions are understood by my documents. Similarly, if I want to save my HTML code, I need to use index, give any name, .html file. Okay, that means if I'm working with HTML, I have to save it with .html or .htm extension. Okay, so that means any technology, even if you're working with CSS file, let me create a new file. Let's say style.css. If you want to write any CSS code, you have to create a file with .css extension. If you're working with JS code, you have to write .js extension. Okay, give any name to your file, .js extension. This is how you can do. Okay. Now in index.html, there are two things. Either I start writing the code manually. So I have to create a structure here, structure of my HTML. Okay. So there are two cases. Either I start writing my code like this, or I can use a shortcut. Just add exclamation sign and press enter. You will get the structure of HTML document. Okay. And those who are using online editor, they don't have to do anything. Okay. They don't have to do anything. Here you have to directly write the code. So you guys can just observe and look at it for now. So you just have to write exclamation and press enter. So you will get the basic structuring of your HTML document. Okay. So this is how your basic structure of HTML looks. So this all part is about any external resource, any external library, document. Let's say this title over here, if I talk about, let's say uh, content development. Let me add it here. So if I execute this, so here you can see this title is added development. Okay. Just like this title, JS Fiddle Code Playground is added by JS Fiddle Company. Similarly, I have added the title as front-end development. If I make changes here, you can experience those changes here as well. See. Okay. And this logo over here, this is nothing called favicon. I can also change this icon using favicon. Okay. So any external resource, any external library, anything I am using, okay, in my code, we put that code inside this head section. Okay. And the content that goes into UI is only responsible, this body part is the part which is responsible for displaying data in UI. So whenever you see this body section theme, this is the part that goes inside the browser. Okay. This is the part that goes inside the browser. Okay. If you want to execute this code for now, do one thing, just double click on it. Okay. And you can see whatever is your default browser according to a system, that will open it, your code. It can be Microsoft Edge, it can be Opera, it can be this one as well. And if you're using Mac, it will be Safari mostly. Okay. In my system, default browser is Google Chrome. That is what I use. So my code got open here. Okay. So you can just double click on it and you can see the output. We will write the code, then only you will be able to see the output. Okay. So here, this is nothing but we are working with HTML5. It's the latest version of HTML. So that is what it's depicting to my browser. And then this is any external resource title, any icon you want to change, this earth icon to the company logo, we can put those content over here. Okay. Now body tag is something team where you write the code. So if I write heading 1, let's say study Comrade. Okay. Now you will be able to see heading 1 with study Comrade here. Okay. This is how it will come in UI. So what I said, whatever content that you want to put in UI, all that will come inside body section firstly. Secondly, this H1 is called tag, heading one tag. So it is giving instructions to my web browser how this content will be displayed. So I'm telling to my browser, display study comrade in a heading one fashion, in a heading one manner. That is bigger in font size. Okay. Now using style attribute. So whatever you write in opening tag, this is called attribute. So you can change that. You can write. So if you want to add color, just write color, blue color, or let's say orange color. So I can write orange color here. So here you can see the study comrade will come in orange color now. Okay. And if you want to bring this heading in center, just write text align center. So team, whatever I'm writing, this part is all CSS. Okay. To add CSS to your HTML code, there are three ways. So we are looking at inline CSS. Okay. We can use external as well. We can use internal as well. But today's session, we are looking at style that is going to be your this color. So you can see study comrade will come in center now. Okay. Now team, this study comrade, if you see, it's it's coming in center. If you want to change this earth icon, you can study about it. You guys need to go through favicon. Okay, using favicon, here you need to write link type is equal to favicon. Here you define href, the path of your image, and whatever you will define here, that will add the that icon, your company logo. Okay, so that is called favicon. That icon that you see at the top, that is called favicon. Okay. So now I have added one heading, study comrade, and it is coming in center because of the styling I have added. Okay. And when it's come to browser compatibility team, it depends upon the technology. So let's say I'm working with HTML. So let's say whatever tags I'm writing, okay, I need to check is it compatible with my browser, because let's say you're using older version of browser. Suppose I'm working with HTML5, which came in HTML5, which came in 2014, the fifth version. So 1991, first version of HTML was introduced. Then HTML 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth is the latest one. These versions are nothing but just like in your mobile phone, you get the update of your software. Let's say an iPhone. Right now we have latest iOS 15.6. Okay, so like your WhatsApp, WhatsApp update comes regularly, because whenever some updates come, that means it's the better version from the previous one. Similarly, HTML5 is the best, like the better, most better version or improved version. Okay, so if you're using this, and let's say you are using a browser of version of 2010, okay, then there is something called fallback content. For particular tag you need to handle it. Okay, so when it's come to browser compatibility, let's say I'm using a browser version of Google Chrome from 2010, and I'm using HTML5 from 2014, then the tags which were introduced in HTML5 will not be compatible with 2010. Okay, so that means I need to use, for every tag, it's a different way of handling, but the common term is called fallback content. Okay. So depending upon what element you're using, let's say video and audio element, they got introduced in HTML5. Okay. So if you try to use that in Google version, which was introduced in 2010, then those will not be compatible. Okay. So for those tags, you need to define a fallback content. This is the generic term we use for browser compatibility. Okay. So for basic syntax team, let me write it and explain it to you guys. Firstly, we define the doc type. Doc type is nothing but telling to my browser just to load all these elements better, which version of HTML I'm using. So if you see the same syntax in HTML4, it will be little different. So I'm using HTML5. So this first statement is telling to my browser which version of HTML I am using. Okay. After that, we write head tag. Okay. Inside that, we write, after that, we write HTML tag. In that, we write head tag. Okay. And then I will write body tag. So everything in HTML is like a tag deal. Okay, everything. So they're predefined. These are called structure elements because they are helping me to structure my HTML code. So all these are called structure elements. This head, HTML, body. Okay, body is something wherever you any code that you write here that goes into the UI. Okay, and any external link, external CSS, external JS, any external library that you're going to use, basically CDN links. Okay, that is what we put inside this head section and body section. So if you want to display any code in UI, you need to include it inside the body tag. And I told you in HTML we write tags. Everything is predefined. You don't have to write any logic here. HTML is not a programming language. It's a markup language. So everything is already marked. So if you want to have a heading one, just include H1. If you want to add a paragraph, I'm adding dummy content here. A paragraph will be added here. Okay. This was just a shortcut to include some dummy content. Or you guys can go to any website and copy it as well. Okay. Just go to any website and you can copy the dummy content. Okay. But in HTML, we have one shortcut that is nothing but just write lorem and 90 and press enter. So it will add dummy 90 words of dummy content. If you need 100, just press enter 100. Okay. P means paragraph tag. Okay. And similar to H1, we have 5 more headings. Heading 2, then we have heading 3, heading 4. Okay. Here you can see we have heading 4. Total 6 heading tags we have. Heading 5 and then heading 6. And I can write the same text in all these. The only difference would be by default the size and the boldness, the widthness of the text. That is the difference we will experience. Here you can see all the headings are coming. This is heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. So these are the 6 heading tags we have in HTML. So you don't have to create any logic from your end. Everything is predefined. You just need to put it in the right position. Okay. Guys, this is going to, we are creating website only. This is how you create a website. So when you want to, let's say you want to start creating a Netflix today. Okay. You need to understand these tags first. Then only you can start creating a website. So to create a website UI, you need to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So firstly, we are looking at HTML. And with that, we are looking at CSS. And those who are working with this JS Fiddle editor, what they have to do, they just have to write heading 1 and let's just study Comrade. And just click on run. Okay. And you will be able to see study Comrade here. Okay. And here you can write style, let's say color orange. So you will see this in orange color. Okay. If you guys want to put p tag, maybe this lorem 90. See here, this lorem 90 would not work. The shortcut. So for that, you guys can copy any dummy content, and it will come like a paragraph here. Those who are using online editor, this is how it's going to look. Okay. Here I can write external center. In a website, if you want to add heading, if you want to add text, colors, this is how you can add. So now this is how it's going to look. Okay. If you're using JS Fiddle, then you just have to write this, the code that I have written inside the body tag. Then you don't have to write this structure because in online editor, it's already predefined. Okay. This is what we can add for initial for HTML. Definitely we can add a lot. We can add images, we can add videos, we can add audio, a lot more. Okay. Now in your boot camp or in your course, this is what you will be taught to you guys. So we will be doing Visual Studio Code setup. We will be working on latest version of HTML, that is 5. We will be working on latest version of CSS, that is 3, and latest version of JS, that is ES6. And you guys will be learning debugging, you will be learning accessibility, you will be learning about web components. All these terms we use in real-time IT industry. Okay. and you guys will be working on real time projects. So you will be getting 5 real time IT projects in this course. Okay. And this is the price of the course. If you like say come solo, come duo, trio, squad, mega, these are the prices, but this is what we are offering today. This price, let's say if you come, you will get one, you just have to pay approximately rupees, that is 1099 rupees, and this offer is only till 9 p.m. today. Okay, this is what we will offer from tomorrow. Let's say after 9 p.m. today, this will be the actual price you will be charged. But if you join before 9 p.m. today, team, this is what you need to pay. That's it. It is hardly, even if you go to a restaurant, you spend this much. And from this much amount, you can actually learn a technology that can land you a very reputed job in IT industry. Okay. And this course will start from 21st November, daily at 6 p.m. 6 to 7, 1 hour session. You will be working on live coding. So I will be your instructor. You will be doing live coding. I will be writing the code, explaining it in detail again to you guys. You guys will be coding with me. You will get everyday assignment. You will get weekly assignment. And during the course, you will be working on 5 real-time IT projects like Netflix website, clone of maybe LinkedIn, those websites you would be working on. So by the end of this course, you will have a website like Netflix that is developed by you only. Okay. And it's a 35-day course starting from November 21st, every day at 6 p.m. in Google Meet. This is the price we have for the course. Let's say if you come alone, if you come with a friend, this is what you need to pay each. But these are actual prices. But if you register before 9 p.m. today, you will get this as the price. Okay. And registration link is in the chat box. Okay. Now I'm open to questions. Have any questions, feel free to ask anything about any technology. And this offer for just for 1099, this is till today only, 9 p.m. If you come tomorrow, then you have to pay this much, let's say 1499. If you come with your friend, this much. If you come with 5 people, then you have to pay this much. But today you just have to pay this much, just 1000 or approximately 1000 rupees. And you can just compare, you spend this much, even if you go for a shopping or a restaurant, you easily spend this much amount. And in this much amount alone, you can just learn a technology which is booming and you can land up in a job. Okay. So you will be learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and basics of React.js as well. So React.js is your advanced UI technology. So you guys would be working on that as well. Okay, basics. Any questions, anyone?
Good evening, guys.
Let
I
me
hope the session is very crystal clear. So the offer ends within an hour. So please hurry up and register yourself. So in Study Comrade, you can learn along with your friends. So there will be many interesting case studies, many interesting quizzes. So there will be lot many things. And Urvashi madam, the madam who had been giving you the webinar, so she will be the trainer. So register for the course, and we can't wait to train you anymore.
Yeah.
So
And
if you're having any kinds of doubts regarding the webinar or course, so madam and I are here to help you. Madam, please proceed, madam.
yeah, thanks. So team, like I said, you guys not just learning basics of HTML, CSS, JS, you guys would be creating projects. So you will be creating 5 real time. So you will end up developing your own Netflix website. So that will help you with you can add those in your resume. You will get certification. You guys will get everyday task related to IT projects only, and weekly assignment. You guys will get weekly assignment as well. Okay, and definitely you will get certification for projects and for your course that you can mention in your resume as well. Okay, and definitely the course will be oriented in a way. Once you are done with it, you can easily apply in any company. You will be able to crack it. So we will be providing you interview preparation material as well with the course.